Hello. A little bit more about the Downing Street problem and replacing Borris and all the efforts of these 12 people potentially who are going to be standing against him, like the 12 disciples, one of whom presumably must be opting to be Judas. Now, at the moment, there's only 11 who have thrown their hats into the ring. We're waiting for Priti Patel to join those. There is even talk of Jacob Rees-Mogg. But I want you to think for a second about a little boy called Hans Brinker, I think his name was. Now, I heard about Hans Brinker when I was very small, when I was 6 or 7 years old. It was one of the stories that we were constantly told when I was a child growing up in Lincolnshire, in a place called Spalding, and spending a lot of my time on a farm and running between one farm and the other along the 40-foot dike. And there are lots of dikes around that area of the fens. These were the sort of drainage systems put in to make that area of England such an incredibly verdant pasture, so incredibly good for growing things. And we were always told this story about a little boy in Holland who saw that there was a hole in the dike, in the dam, and he stuck his finger in the hole and stopped a national catastrophe. He saved Holland by sticking his finger in the dike. Now, I'd like you to bear that thought in mind. It's one of those thoughts, the boy with his finger in the dike, which has grown up with me, which has been with me for, nearly 60 years. And I'd like you to think about Penny Mordaunt and two of her appearances in the House of Commons, and they're both on YouTube, and they're both well worth watching. The first is, I think, from the 30th of November 2014, where she had been dared to stick in various words into a speech, and she did. A speech full of innuendo and humour, fun, feisty. Not for nothing was she a Royal Navy, a reservist, and she then gave a loyal address. That's the speech, I think, immediately following the Queen's speech, which is generally humorous and good-natured, and that was quite superb in 2015. And you can just look at the people on both sides of the House roaring with laughter as she described in Royal Navy instruction that fell slightly below what one might expect. So that is Penny Mordaunt, and I had hoped for great things from Penny Mordaunt, but I think the video that she put forward the other day has slaughtered her chances. Suella Braverman, I think, might emerge as one of the serious contenders. Either that, or she's going to be a kingmaker. Suella Braverman, I think, is a really good candidate. And although she has been tinged with association with Borris, and although she has remained in the cabinet, she was very clear that she was putting her hat in the ring from the beginning. None of this cloak and dagger stuff. She says what she means, she does what she intends to do. I like that. I think that is very positive. And she's young. I think Rishi Sunak, who's the other lead candidate, Rishi Sunak has been fatally wounded by the stories which were leaked about him from Number 10, I assume, about his non-dom, about the non-dom status of his wife and about his green card. It just comes across as dodgy and wrong. And even if he's selected by the Conservative members of the House of Commons, I don't see that he can seriously become Prime Minister as somebody who is linked with Borris as one of those people who had to pay a fine for Partygate. It doesn't matter that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He had to pay the fine, and that issue was mishandled in such a disastrous way. And at the moment, Sajid Javid is giving a speech in London where he is laying it so clearly on the ground. Poisonous gossip, attack memos, and allegations thrown about. Mud. I don't see that a party that is in control of the country can afford this level of mudslinging, and he is right. He says that the Conservative Party faces electoral oblivion. Our reputation has slid away. It's a wake-up call and a time to a smell the coffee moment. He says, no, he's wrong. All of that is something he should have said 4 months ago. 4 months ago. The smell the coffee moment was then, not now. Now is a time to stick your finger in the dike. Now is the time to shore up that disastrous moment. And I don't see Rishi Sunak as being a finger sticker. I don't see Penny Mordaunt now as being somebody who's going to put her finger in the dike. And I certainly don't see Priti Patel, should she throw her hat in the ring, as somebody who can shore up the dike and stop the water overflowing and destroying the country. That is the issue. It's a dike moment. It's a finger in the dike moment. It's a Hans Brinker moment. And now we await for the horrors of a Priti Patel candidacy. A minister with allegations of bullying hovering over her like a dead rat on a kite. It's just the most extraordinary thing. I cannot imagine a Priti Patel premiership that could succeed in doing anything other than driving a wedge so successfully between us and through the country. She is a divisive influence. She has been divisive in the Home Office, and she would continue to be divisive should she be given greater power. This would be such a monumental mistake. Now I know that in Rome, in the Vatican, people can have a great reputation, can have a particular reputation and end up being elected Pope and become something slightly different. That was always what one was told about Benedict, Pope Benedict, Ratzinger. But in the end, he had to resign. I don't think people really change their spots, and I don't see Priti Patel as somebody who can change. Priti Patel has been a disaster in the Home Office, and she is a disaster in waiting should she throw her hat into the ring to become a potential Prime Minister. Let's wait and see how much mud she slings around, because I do not think she is capable of doing anything less. I hold out hope that she might be a conciliatory, a positive image in the party. But she hasn't been that so far, and I can't imagine that she's going to be it in the next few weeks. She has a reputation as a bully. That reputation may not be deserved, but I don't see evidence that she is a more positive figure so far. And as I say, we've got to wait and see. I mean, if she is the person who becomes Prime Minister, what is she going to do? Is she going to get Andrea Jenkins to stick her finger into the dike? I mean, she's got such a strident middle finger. It's out there waiting to be claimed. Maybe she is the Hans Brinker that we are waiting for. But I think not. There is another Vatican parallel. And the Vatican officials, the cardinals who had herded into the conclave, which simply means sort of being kept in prison, being kept under key, they there is a possibility that they could elect somebody who is not of their members. They could elect somebody from outside. There is a person from outside who could be elected as the next Conservative leader and the next Prime Minister. I don't know whether anybody's even thinking of it, but that person is Rory Stewart. And the alternative is Tom Tugendhat or possibly Jeremy Hunt. My money would be on Tom Tugendhat. And I think when people start thinking seriously, if this Conservative Party can think seriously, if it still has a hive brain that actually makes sense, they will realise that anybody soiled by association with Johnson is going to lead the party to electoral oblivion, exactly as Sajid Javid suggests today.